Hare Krishna. So today we are continuing our discussion on 8 treasures that Lord Chaitanya accepted from different sampradayas. So far we discussed 3 of these treasures. First treasure, do you remember what was the first treasure that Chaitanya collected, or gems we can say? Defeating Mayavada. Yes. Was from which sampradaya? From Brahma Madhva sampradaya. Yes. Gaudiya is Lord Chaitanya himself. Yes. And the second gem or treasure from this sampradaya was deity worship, especially Krishnamurti. Yes, especially to devote ourselves to worshipping of Krishna. And then we discussed yesterday morning, do you remember what? Pure devotional service. And this was accepted from which sampradaya? Yes, Sri-Ramanuja sampradaya. Okay, you very good. So today we'll discuss the next treasure from Sri-Ramanuja sampradaya, and that is service of the devotees. And this is really important gem that Lord Chaitanya collected from this sampradaya, serving of the devotees. Yes, Lord Krishna explains that actually those who claim that they are his devotees, but if they are not devotees of his devotees, are not his devotees. So it's important, extremely important to serve the devotees. Lord Chaitanya said, Naham vipro na chanara patir na pavesho na shudro, naham varni na chagriha patir no vanastoya tirva. Kintu prodhanam paramananda purnamritabdir, gopi barduhu patakavaleor, dasa no dasa. So Lord Chaitanya explained, and yesterday we discussed that we should give up all upadis. I'm man, I'm a woman, I'm young, I'm old, I'm Christian, I'm Hindu, I'm Hare Krishna, I'm whatever upadis we have with this material body. And Lord Chaitanya also confirms this in this verse. I'm not brahmachari, grihasta, vanaprastha or sannyasi. I'm not a brahmana, kshatriya, vaishya or shudra. That means I'm nothing of this world. In no position, no social role in the world, in this world, have anything to do with me. Yes, these are all upadis, just bodily designations. Yeah, but he identifies and prays to be the servant of the servant of the servant of the Lord of the gopis. So this is the highest aspiration, to be the servant of the servant. And this is not just idea of Lord Chaitanya, but is widely preached also in other spiritual traditions. For example, Jesus also said the same thing. If you want to be the highest, you have to be the servant of everyone. Yes, and this is against our idea in this material world. We don't want to be the servant. I remember when I came to the devotional path of Krishna consciousness, the most difficult thing for me was this idea, now I have to become a servant. Yes, it was a terrible thought. I thought, my God, all my life I wanted to become a master, uh, to be really someone important, but now I have to become a servant. Uh, we are so accustomed to this speech to be a servant that um, then it's not so terrible for us, this idea. But we express this mentality of lordship many times. For example, maybe extreme example, but everyone can relate to it, is if we are annoyed by anything in this world, or by anyone in this world, this is the sign that we want to be a lord. Because why would be I annoyed by anything otherwise? That means if I'm annoyed, like with this fly, for example, if I'm annoyed by anything, that means that I don't have control over this thing or this human being or this animal or whatever, isn't it? And because I don't have a control over this being or thing, that means I'm annoyed because I want to have the control, but I don't. And what is annoying to me is that it goes against my will. Isn't it? Yes. So this being or this thing is in such a situation, it's against my will, or creates such a situation, it's against my will. Yes. So I want to have control. I want to have power over it, and therefore, this is the lordship mentality. Yes. Otherwise, we would, if we really would have this servant mentality, dasa, dasa, no dasa, then we would gladly accept whatever comes. And this is Trinada Visunichana Torori Vasahishana. Amanina Manadina Kirtaneyaksatahari. Therefore, Lord Chaitanya explains, if we really want to be connected to the Lord all the time, Kirtanyak Sada, Sada means all the time. If you want to be really connected with the Lord all the time, we should be more humble than a blade of grass, and more tolerant than a tree, or as tolerant as a tree. Yes, and tree doesn't protest when someone comes to cut it down. On the contrary, it gives shade to such a person, gives its fruits to such a person. Yes, serves such a person, and doesn't protest. And even if it's dying because of drought, because there is no drop of water, he doesn't ask for water. No one. Just stands. Yes. Of course, we cannot just achieve this just by our wish. This state of consciousness comes by mercy of Krishna. If we devote ourselves, we discussed this yesterday, that we cannot purify our heart on our own, by our will alone. By our will, we engage in devotional service to Krishna, to his devotees and so on. But it's not in our power to purify our heart. It's Krishna's mercy if he sees that we are sincere. Yes, so we should understand this. What does it mean in reality? As to be the servant of the servant of the servant. Because, of course, we know that every living entity is a part of Krishna. Maivam sho jiva loki jiva buddha sanatana. Lord Krishna explains in 15th chapter of Bhagavata-gita that every living entity is his part and parcel. And since by our constitutional position we are Jivara Svarupahoy Krishna Nityadas, we are eternally Krishna's servant. That means that we are servant of every living entity, not just devotees. Of course, we don't serve in the way that these crazy conditioned souls would like us to serve them. That doesn't mean that we bring alcohol or cigarettes for their pleasure or meat. Because they are illusioned, they are sick, they are not in healthy position. So we should serve these conditioned, these sick living entities according to their needs. Like a physician, a doctor, he serves the patient by curing the patient, isn't it? But not according to the whims of a patient. Patient may want to enjoy something that is forbidden for him because it would make his disease worse, or he wants maybe from the doctor such treatment which is not beneficial for his health. So doctor serves the patient according to the proper needs of the patient, that the patient can get cured as soon as possible. And so this should be also our approach in serving the conditioned living entities. Not to serve according to their illusioned and diseased ideas, but according to their needs to get cured as soon as possible. Yes, this is the best service. Also, according to Krishna in the 18th chapter of Bhagavad-gita. Yes, so, and of course, then there are different living entities. If someone is envious of Krishna and we cannot in any way help him, then we should serve him also. We are servants of every living entity. So we should serve him by strictly avoiding such a living entity. Yes. Of course we can serve him also by praying. If such a person doesn't accept even prasad, for example, so we can serve such a person by prayers and by strictly avoiding. Because if someone is really envious and hateful towards the devotees, if we engage in whatever relationship with such a person, he'll be just offensive and aggravate his diseased condition. So yes, we should know how to properly behave towards every living entity. And of course, Krishna is explaining that, for example, in 7th chapter of Bhagavad-gita, he mentions 4 kind of people who turn to him. Chaturvida bhajantimam jana sukriti norjuna arto jigyasur artarti gyanicha bhartarshaba. And there are those who are unfortunate, arto jigyasur, those who are inquisitive, and those who want to get money, to be wealthy, and jnani, those who have deep philosophical understanding of absolute truth. So those 4 kinds of people turn to him. And it is explained that none of these 4 are pure devotees. They don't perform really pure devotional service. But Krishna still says that udarak sarvayeviti gyanit papnaivachi yematam, that all these are great souls, udara. But jnani should be considered as, I consider him as good as myself. Yes. But for Uddhava, he says that devotee is better than myself. So Krishna considers everyone who turns to him as a great person. And those who have strong spiritual understanding, they're as good as he is for himself. But who is a devotee? He's better than Krishna, according to Krishna's perspective. Yes, so if service to every living entity is so important, as we just established, so how much more is service to the devotees who are extremely dear to Krishna? And this was exhibited in many instances even by Lord Chaitanya himself. For example, as long as Lord Chaitanya was in the role of arrogant scholar, he teased devotees by useless arguments. He saw, for example, Gadadhar Pandit and asked him, what is liberation? And Gadadhar Pandit, who was also a scholar, gave perfect answer, that is to get free from material conditioning. And Lord Chaitanya immediately said wrong. And he gave another explanation that defeated Gadadhar Pandit. And he gave different explanations and defeating his own explanations one after another. And then established the first claim. Again. So, useless arguments. And so devotees were afraid of meeting of the Lord. They were attracted to him very much, but they were afraid of associating with him because they would just waste time for useless arguments. And they were discussing how glorious it would be if the Lord would become a devotee. Yes. And so Lord Chaitanya went to Gaya to offer this puja and pinda for the deceased forefathers, especially father, because father passed away. And he received spiritual initiation from Ishvara Puri. And immediately he became a pure devotee. And when he returned to Navadvip, he exhibited how to serve devotees. he was completely changed, and he served devotees really menially even. He washed their clothes and served them in any possible way. Yes, and was extremely meek and humble. So we should take example of the Lord Himself. And actually, if we discussed before of serving of every living entity, Lord Himself is serving every living entity. He gives light and food to everyone, animal, atheist, to all of us. He gives air to breathe. We pollute the air, not Krishna. We pollute the earth. Yes, Krishna gives perfect system for everyone that can live happily in this world. Even in this world, which is the world of those who turn away from Krishna. What to speak of spiritual world, of those who are Krishna's devotees. So yes, another example of serving the devotees, very important example, is Shivananda Sena. Shivananda Sena was really special personality. He organized every year pilgrimage from Navadvip to Jagannath Puri, which is several hundred kilometers away. And at that time, India was not a single country. There were many small kingdoms in India. And to cross from one kingdom to another, you had to go through customs and pay different taxes. Yes. And of course, these tax collectors were notorious by being great cheaters and molesters of other living entities. Even in the Bible, those who collected taxes on the streets were famous as being most sinful people. Yes. It is mentioned that these Pharisees were criticizing Jesus because he associated with these tax collectors, because he wanted to deliver them. Yes. Shri Panchatattva ki jai. Nitai Gaur Brahmanande Hari. So, yes, Shivananda Sena organized this pilgrimage from Navadvip to Jagannath Puri every year, and he sponsored the whole pilgrimage for everyone. Yes, and not just sponsored the whole pilgrimage, but he organized everything also. That means that he organized some place to stay for the devotees. He organized prasadam for every day, every single day for the devotees, few times a day, at least 2 times a day for prasad for the devotees. He paid personally all the taxes, and because the rivers had to be crossed on this way, he paid also to those boatmen for crossing. Yes, he paid everything. And when they came to Jagannath Puri, they stayed there for 4 months every year. And so he paid for all the the staying of the devotees and for food for the devotees, even for this period of staying in Jagannath Puri. Yes. Really special personality. And once he was kept behind because of these tax collectors. They wanted to rob him practically. And he was negotiating with them very strongly, and so and because of this, there was a delay in prasadam, and Lord Nityananda became so furious because there was not prasadam and everything on time. That when Shivananda Sen came back, he kicked him in chest and said that because of your offense, all of your children will die. And this really disturbed the cousin brother of Shivananda Sen, and he went on his own to Jagannath Puri. He left the party. Yes, he was so insulted, we can say, by Lord Nityananda. And Shivananda Sena's wife was just crying. Lord Nityananda, who is Lord himself, cursed our children to die. But Shivananda Sena wasn't at all saddened by this. He was greatly happy, and he said, "You foolish woman, why do you cry?" This was a blessing. Anything that the Supreme Personality does is a blessing. So he remembered us, and this is utmost blessing, and he touched me with his lotus feet. So what highest blessing we can expect from the Lord? And this cousin went to Lord Chaitanya, and he saw that he's really disturbed, and he inquired about what happened, and he explained. But Lord Chaitanya knew that this is all the pastimes of Lord Nityananda. And of course we know that children of Shivananda Sena were not killed. But we should take everything we receive from the Lord as special mercy. As special mercy. Yes. Even it may seem to us at the beginning as the worst curse ever possible. We should take it as a special mercy. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur prays that every suffering that I endure by serving Krishna is my highest ecstasy. Yes. It's just like a bite of a lava. It may be a little painful, but brings great pleasure to us. Isn't it? So, Acharyas explain, it's like a bite of a lava. So these pains in this material world, if we are in proper devotional mood, it brings us the highest pleasure. Yes, because suffering for the Lord's pleasure, what can be highest than this? And the Lord, of course, doesn't want to see us suffering. I have a personal experience of this. Once I was in Macedonia repairing my teeth. There is extremely cheap in Macedonia to do this. If you have teeth problem and you have to do something, I recommend you to go there. And there is one devotee, doctor, dentist, who is really good at this. So, because I had something more severe to do, I had terrible pain after this procedure. And he gave me some forbidden pills that had too much side effects. And he said they're really effective, but they're not available on the market anymore because they have too much side effects. So you can take this. And he gave me a whole box of it, of these pills. And I really didn't want to take them too much because I was warned that they're not healthy. So I took them only when this pain was intolerable. And every day I wanted to quit this taking of these pills. But then the pain became too heavy and I had to take a pill. And then Ekadashi came, and I'm regularly fasting for Ekadashis. And then I said to the Lord, okay, today I won't take the pill. Even if it will hurt intolerably, I will not take the pill. And if it will hurt me, let this pain be for your pleasure. And there was no pain at all. For the first day, there was no pain. Yes. So, if we take pains for Lord's pleasure, they can become our highest ecstasies. Yes, we should take them in this way, and then all suffering will become. We will perceive these sufferings in different perspective. Yes. So this was just some side teaching, we can say, because what is I wanted to stress that serving the devotees exhibited by Shivananda Sena is extremely important for our devotional progress. And once this party of Shivananda Sena was joined, some stray street dog joined this party. Yes, and Shivananda Sena, who had so many obligations on his head by these tax collectors, by organizing prasadam, organizing place to stay for the devotees, he took personal care of this dog. And he, because the dog was not able to eat the same prasad as the devotees, so he arranged also for special prasad for the dog every day. And once he was again held by these tax collectors, and he instructed his servants that when you feed the devotees, don't forget the dog. Feed also the dog. But when Shivananda Sena returned from these tax collectors, he saw that the dog is no more in their association. And then he asked these servants, have you fed the dog? And they said, oh, we forgot. And he was so disturbed that he took this as a personal offense to the dog, to a devotee. He considered this dog a devotee. So he fasted this particular day, and he went around to find this dog. Yes, he wanted to find this dog, but he couldn't. The dog went straight to Jagannath Puri. Yes. But even before this incident happened, we mentioned that they had to cross rivers and pay to these boatmen to take them on the other side. Many times these boatmen said, usually, because in India dogs are not liked very much. It's not like in the West. The dog is a man's best friend, considered. Not in India. In India, they're considered impure. So everyone avoids dogs. And therefore, all these boatmen, usually, they said, no dogs allowed on the boat. But Shivananda Sena wanted to serve this dog. How can I leave someone who is my dependent behind? It's not possible. So he usually had to pay double or even triple price, usual price, for this dog, that he could travel with them. Yes. So we should understand how important it is to serve the devotees. This is our life, serving of the devotees. So if we are not engaged in the service of the devotees, if the devotees don't engage us, we should consider ourselves as most unfortunate. Yes. So we should beg for the service of the devotees in every way possible. Yes. So service of the devotees is extremely important. To accept them as our masters. And this is also exhibited in some other instance. For example, the famous instance is also of Kalidas. Have you heard about Kalidas? He had so much faith in Mahaprasad, in Mahaprasad, that he ate the remnants of every devotee in Bengal, practically. He came from Brahmana family, and so he usually came to the devotees with offering of some bhoga or prasad, and they offered this to the Lord, and then they took this prasad, and then he asked for the remnants. But if the devotee, according to social standard, was a Shudra or low class, according to social estimation, they were too much ashamed to give Kalidas their own remnants, and they couldn't accept this. So Kalidas didn't want to disturb them. This is also service, to not disturb the devotees. Important service. So he just hid himself and waited till these devotees wouldn't throw away their plates, because in those days the plates were made from banana leaves, usually, especially in Bengal. So he waited till then, and then he took whatever remnants were on these plates and sucked the seeds and licked these plates of prasad, of the remnants. Yes, because he knew that these remnants of the devotees are most powerful in spiritual blessings. And the Lord was so pleased by Kalidas that when uh, just recently it was a Gundicha Marjana festival, um, they were washing the temple of Gundicha several times, and with pots of water, and then this Kalidas came to the Lord, and he was pouring water over the Lord's feet and drinking this water. And usually no one was allowed uh, even to touch Lord's feet, but to think of drinking water from his feet. But he was allowed to drink 3 times, and then he said, it's enough, now it's enough. But he was so satisfied that he allowed this special concession for Kalidas. Yes. So, and Prahlad Maharaj in 7th canto, he explains Matirna Krishne Paratak Svatova Mitobi Patrita Grihavratanam Adanta Gobir Vishatam Timasram Punach Panascharvita Charvananam. That one who is engrossed in material life, he cannot become a devotee by his own endeavors, by help of others, or by combination of both. So, what is the solution? And then he explains, Naisham matis tavata rukragramim sprashatanarto pagamoya dhartaha Mahia sampadara chobishikam niskinchana nam namarinitayavat. He said to his father this, the most glorious of demons, that you cannot achieve Krishna consciousness if you are materially engrossed, but there is one solution. To take bath in the dust of great devotees. If we take bath in the dust from the lotus feet of great devotees, then we can become devotees. We can receive the mercy of the Lord. Yes. So we should aspire for the dust from the feet of Lord's devotees. We should aspire for their prasadam, for their remnants. We should aspire for their service. Yes. Only by service of the devotees we can please the Lord. We can please the Lord. It's no other possible way. Yes. Hare Krishna. Do you have any questions or comments or doubts? Yes, please.
Once I was inspired to give some prasadam to people, and then I bought mandarins, and it was Christmas time, and I went to a place in the market where poor and low people usually gather, and I had also few small books, and I started giving this prasad, and one lady, she was so fallen and so much in Tamagun, yeah. And then she was so happy when I gave her the mandarin, and I felt such ecstasy. Maybe I never felt by serving even any Vaishnava like that, yeah. But I was desired to give some mercy to, and yeah, sometimes, Lord, it seemed that Krishna was pleased if I had the feeling, yeah. So sometimes, yeah, maybe, yeah, even so simple people
Yes.
serve, and we can please the Lord by that.
Yes. It's very important. That's why we were speaking about serving every living entity. Yes, it's important. Thank you for this realization, sharing with us. Yes, please.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, thank you for the lecture. You mentioned that at some point that we must avoid association of those who are not willing to take Krishna, or there is it may happen that they are then insulting, and it's not good for them. But in order to preach, we must have association of those. And so, how can you clarify that how? Because we need to be everywhere and on every social level. So how we can be there and preach, and that you say that we cannot have association with them, but still we need to in order to preach. So how we can balance and how to?
Yes, this is important question because we are preaching movement. Yes. We should understand that in public preaching, we teach them the basic philosophy that they can understand. But if anyone is averse, what can we do in the audience? He can leave if he wants. But when we have personal relationship with someone, we can judge if he's inclined to hear. So we should have this discrimination. Ishvarata dadineshu balisheshu tishratutsa prima maitri kripopiksha yak karoti samadhyama. Madhyama bhakta means one who discriminates. This is Krishna, this is his devotee, this is one who is against Krishna, and this innocent living entity, and so on. Madhyama bhakta has this discrimination. So we can judge if someone is averse to Krishna consciousness, he is averse to God. So we can just avoid him. We can be very polite and humble in these dealings, or maybe because if circumstances are like this, that we are put in some public argument, not by our will. Maybe, for example, we are invited in such environment, and maybe we have to defeat them very strongly. Also, Lord Chaitanya exhibited like this. He defeated very strongly these Buddhists in South India. So much so that they wanted to give him poisonous prasad to Lord Chaitanya, and then one on big metal plate, and then one crow came and picked up this plate, threw this poisonous prasad on these Buddhists, and dropped the plate on the head of this leader of the he lost his consciousness. Yes, so if there is a need, then we should also defeat them by logic and philosophy. But usually we just avoid them because it's not for their benefit if we defeat them. So we serve them in this way. but publicly we speak, of course. We cannot know who is in the public, and we cannot throw them out, those who are averse. You know what I mean? So if there is a larger group or larger crowd, we can speak. Of course, not the highest philosophy, but basic philosophy, that they understand that they're not this body. But if someone is against us, are attacking us, we just avoid such people. Yes. And not disturb them unnecessarily. Yeah. And this is also for Krishna's pleasure. Krishna says in 12th chapter, Yasman no dvijati loko, lokan no dvijati shayah, harshamarksha bayodvegar, mukto sachame priyaha. That someone who doesn't disturb others and is not disturbed by others, and he's equal in every situation, is liberated and is very dear to me. So we shouldn't be disturbed, and we shouldn't disturb others unnecessarily. You have a question?
Isn't there some verse also in 3rd chapter about not disturbing people who are averse to?
I don't think so. Of Bhagavad-Gita?
326, I believe it is. I don't remember.
326?
Or not, yeah.
What is it? 326?
You check that.
326.
Oh yes,
So as not to disrupt the mind's
yes, this one. Yes, I know. That we should engage them according to the propensities that can advance in Krishna consciousness. Yes, ne buddhipedam janayet ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yuktak samacharan. Yes, that he engages them properly with devotional activities. Yes, but these people are not averse. But he doesn't explain them that it's useless to perform material work. This in this particular verse, Lord Krishna explains that one who is in knowledge shouldn't dissuade people of performing their duties. Because they perform their duties with material desires. So they shouldn't be dissuaded, because then there would be just social chaos, like we can see in modern world. It's just chaos, chaotic world, because no one is performing their duties, really. But he should engage such people with devotional activities also, so they can purify themselves gradually. Yes. It's important verse, very important verse, and it supports what we were speaking. So we should know, like a physician, like a doctor, how to engage every living entity somehow or other in devotional service, except if they're completely averse. Thank you for bringing this up. Anything else? If not, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Bol. Please accept my humble